Good morning. It's 8:30. 8:30 it is. Yes, pulling a Jack DeManio. 8:30 on the 21st day of the third month, that is March, the official day. I was always taught was the first day of spring, but some people said yesterday. Anyway, we won't argue about it. Of 2023. So we're rapidly approaching the end of the first quarter, and it's been as eventful as 2022 was. Crisis after crisis after crisis, and no end in sight. And they're still arguing about Boris and the Christmas cake from 2 years ago. I mean, it's all right. Members of Parliament have nothing better to do. They really don't. I mean, there's not much to exercise their virtues because they don't have any. There's a bunch of useless people sitting on green padded benches. The only thing they're good for is talk. And they do plenty of that. Anyway, that's just me. Let's just start off. A nice little thing that I came into my inbox last night is that there is a group who have started a blog, or is not so much a blog as one of those things that you tap into and they talk on, play videos and that sort of thing. But anyway, for Parkinson's, and the rather distinguished group of people who got together in a pub in part of London, the High Court judge, Jeremy Paxman, and a few more people who suffer from Parkinson's. And they have decided that they must let the world know. And indeed, that's what I've been doing on Mirador in the last little while, is letting the world know, because it's a disease that is debilitating. It's a dreadful thing to have. I've got it, so I know what I'm talking about. And it is always considered to be the last thing on anybody's minds. So you've got a few more famous people, because those who have had it before have included Billy Graham, the evangelist, Muhammad Ali, the boxer, Michael J. Fox, the film star, Big Yin, the comedian, Neil Diamond, song composer and singer. You name it, there have been a whole host of very famous people who've had Parkinson's. And you attack me on not being famous, but I have it, and I'm a proponent of trying to do something about it. And the people at the Parkinson's organization, pretty damn good people, and no argument with them, but they could do with more funds, because I saw again last night half a dozen looking to save tigers, save children, save all sorts of things, and quite worthy. I have no argument or objection to that. But as I say, if you possibly open your purse and if the moths fly out and there is a half a crown lying in the bottom of it, keep 2 bob for yourself and send the tanner to Parkinson's. Enough tanners, and they can get on with their research. Badly needed. And it's badly needed in many ways to all the things that are going on in our world, which is rather a pity, really. But I think things aren't at all good. And the main headline in many papers, starting with the Metro, is misogynists, homophobes, and racists. That's a damning verdict on the Met, on London's police force. Baroness Case's blistering 368-page report, which is being published today, says the Metropolitan Police Service is institutionally racist, sexist, and homophobic. There you are. The Daily Express follows up with the same story. Condemned. Public's loss of faith in police. And the Daily Express also focuses on the Casey report on the Met, with its front page saying the force now faces a huge task to win back public trust. I'll say it does. The Daily Mail, broken and rotten. Devastating review says Met is institutionally racist. Sorry, the devastating review says Met is institutionally racist, corrupt, misogynistic, and homophobic. Oh dear. And the Casey report concludes that the force is broken, that it cannot be trusted to police itself, and that the Met must reform or be overhauled. Well, I think it needs to be overhauled anyway, doesn't it? The Times, rotten Met has lost public faith. There you go. The Times front page says the Met is rotten, as it reports the review's findings that it has lost public faith. The front page also takes a look at former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's legal dossier, which he submitted to the parliamentary committee investigating allegations that he misled MPs over the Number 10 party scandal. The Times reports that Mr. Johnson told the Commons that social distancing guidance had been followed at all times, Downing Street, without an explicit assurance from his aides. Okay, now let me say that what is yes, Boris is a colourful character, but you know what the hell are 650 MPs doing? Raking this up and going over old ground, over an ice cake and possibly a little bit of champagne. Everybody was at it. Just about everybody was at it. Now, I know that a lot of people say, oh, no, it's Boris, he can't get away with that. That's all political claptrap. And I'm really fed up with politics. I'm fed up with hearing our local politicians carry the party line without any regard whatsoever to the problems that we face locally. We have a hell of a mental health problem in East Sussex. And do you hear anybody talk about that? No, they'd much rather strut their stuff and talk about nonsense. Really, you know, when are our politicians going to realize that we didn't send them there to have a nice party game? We sent them there to do a job, and they should do the job, and that our local councillors are the same. The scrutiny committee, which is supposed to keep an eye on the finances that the executive are spending, barely meets. And when it does, it doesn't have on its agenda half the time. The important thing is, where's the money being spent? Because we're going to be slapped with an increase in the council tax as high as any in the country. Why aren't they asking those questions? No, it's much nicer to get frothing at the mouth and have a go at the Tories or the Labour or whatever. Frankly, I don't give a toss for party politics. I think it's time that we stopped party politics. And people say, well, you couldn't do that. It wouldn't work. Well, it's worked in other parts of the world, so I see no reason why it shouldn't work here. But at least we could give it a go. But the fury and the venom which comes out of people because they are anti-Tory or they're anti-Labour or anti-Liberal for that matter is just remarkable. How people can get so vicious over something like that. So as I think it's Dexter Brewster said in the movie Brewster's Millions, is none of the above. Let's try the independence. We did have independence on the council here at once. Well, we still do actually on the district council, on the town council. I'm not sure about the district council. We do have one or two independents, and they do a 10 times better job than any of the other people who are tied to a party. Does that tell you something? No, the voter doesn't want to know. Only a third of us vote anyway. Mind you, 80% complain, only a third vote. Tells you something, doesn't it? Perhaps actually democracy as we know it has gone forever. Perhaps it's got to be replaced. Oh, gosh, Keith. Can't say things like that. Mirror, the last chance buffoon. He says, Johnson hopes to salvage career with dodgy dossier on how to define a party. There you go, you see. You know, what vicious stuff. How do we know what the hell he's going to say? He's not saying it until today. Oh, this week. No, you've got to hate. What sort of people have we become? I'll tell you, we have become an uncaring people. I know lots of nice people. Lots of nice people. I live in a sort of sheltered accommodation, I suppose it is really. It's a very nice flat. And there are lots of elderly people in that flat. And I say, why am I there? Well, the fact is I'm elderly. There, you see, I fit the bill. I'm elderly, so I'm in a place that looks after elderly people. But the sad thing is that in many instances they admit that they haven't seen their family for quite some time. Their families are away and just phones them now and again. Well, that's true of me too. But I mean, I actually chose a path that would end in that, so I'm not complaining. But we pretend that we're caring. What we've done is we've become a veneer of middle class respectability again. Middle class morality, George Bernard Shaw called it. Middle class morality. And boy, is it ever. Anyway, here's the Mirror, once a great newspaper, last chance buffoon, run by the same frothing idiots that keep on turning issues of great concern and needing attention into party politics. Telegraph goes back to the police. Met Police is racist, sexist, and broken. The story it does have on its front page is that Rupert Murdoch has, at 92 years of age, is heading for his fifth marriage. Is to be married for the fifth time as he announces his engagement to 66-year-old Anne Leslie Smith. What did she do? I don't know. She's got a few bob anyway. She's not after him for his money, I don't think. Good luck to him. There we go. Daily Telegraph focused on the public being let down by a force that no longer has a functioning neighbourhood policing service. The front page story also has a statement from Met Commissioner Mark Rowley, who has apologised for the numerous failings, adding that the report has sparked feelings of anger and shame. So it bloody well should. I mean, really. The trial of Boris Johnson begins as the XPM plots his comeback. Well, I must say, I'm stepping out of line because I can't find anybody who will support Boris. And I don't support Boris because I don't support anybody, as you can tell. Anybody who says 650 MPs, and I wouldn't give you tuppence for any of them, hardly supports either any parties or any individual politicians. But I'm really fed up with this witch hunt about a cake and champagne, as if there isn't other things. There aren't other things. God, the papers carry the story this morning, the picture of Putin and Xi shaking hands and talking about peace and so on. And the pundits say nothing. Don't be fooled. Because Xi wants Putin to keep the war running for as long as it possibly can. So when it's his turn, we'll become war weary and we won't stand up to him. Is there any truth in that? Well, I don't know, but I would love my parliamentarians to put that on the debating sheet and find out and let us know. And never mind about whether it would scare the bejesus out of us. We're a bit more mature than that. If we need this shit scared out of us, sorry, I didn't really mean to say that. If we need the whatever scared out of us, then we'll ask for it. We'll stand it. We just oh dear, we've got a little bit of a freeze here, I think. Never mind. There we go. Right, The Sun. Pothole crisis deepens. Britain's gone to pot. Half of the UK roads are crumbling. The Sun leads on a story that says half of the UK's roads are crumbling as a new report has shown fewer potholes are being fixed. Almost half of roads are falling apart, and the repair backlog is at an all-time high. Now, the Financial Times steps away from all that, and it goes to something that, as most people will say, oh dear, what's it got to do with me? What he calls the shotgun marriage of Credit Suisse and UBS stirs bondholders' anger. And yesterday it was UBS and Credit Suisse were merged because Credit Suisse has got itself into financial trouble. Oh dear, these are the same people that bankers who send you stuff saying, we are sending your thing to the credit agency because you missed a payment of £12.50 last month. Oh God, the banking industry is in such a mess. But here they are, the big boys, and they're being bailed out. But actually, of course, it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. If they're not bailed out, it'll have dire consequences for most of us, because it is those banking entities, the big giants, who actually make the world go around, and who scare the hell out of politicians. There'll be no reform of banking ever that will come from politics. They're all too much into the banks. Indeed, what it says is the FT focuses on Switzerland's government coming under fire from bondholders and international regulators for its handling of the 3.2 billion rescue takeover of Credit Suisse by UBS. It says that forcing those two banks together wiped out £1.7 billion worth of Credit Suisse bonds, as the decision to favour shareholders at the expense of bondholders sent a shockwave through already brittle markets on Monday. Just so that you understand the difference between a shareholder is somebody who puts in money on the expectation that they will get a return at some stage as the business grows, and so its value increases. A bondholder is somebody who's lent the institution some money, expects to get some interest along the way, and then having its that money paid back in full. Right. Okay. And well done, the Star. Just when you thought it was safe to go back on the streets, the feathered scumbags are at it again. And it says that 48% of Brits now have been victims of seagulls. Chips and ice creams are under threat. They come swooping down on you. Well, yeah, you go down and sit down in Eastbourne front, which is very pleasant in itself. But sure as heck, the seagulls are there in force, trying to grab stuff out of your finger, out of your face, out of your mouth. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Well, there we go. Let's just very quickly, because there are a couple of appeals this morning, if we can find local news. And let's see, Sussex Live News. That's right. Bring me back. Yes, local news live. A reward is offered in a manhunt following a horrific attack. A police officer, the police are offering a £500 reward in search for a man wanted in connection with horrific Eastbourne attack. Let's see. The suspect is Bradley Moyens, who made the attack in February last year, and the police have confirmed that the investigation is ongoing, although no other people have been arrested in connection with the unprovoked attack. It happened at the Blue Bar Cafe in Pevensey Road, Eastbourne, and saw a 26-year-old man suffering serious injuries when an unknown liquid believed to be a noxious substance was thrown in his face. It is thought that as well as this, the victim and two other people were also injured in the attack. Okay. Hotel owner's heartache after devastating fire destroys whole livelihood. That's about the fire in the Angel Inn in Midhurst, which was burned down last weekend, I think. Let's see. Well, let's see. And the police are looking for a 15-year-old girl from Eastbourne who hasn't been seen for 3 days, and they're concerned for her welfare. Her name is Tina Wickens. She's age 15 and has been reported missing for several days now. And is that it? Let's see. Oh, here's one. It's a couple of days old, but the phones are to be sent emergency alert next month. A loud warning sound will ring on all mobile phones for about 10 seconds. And it's so that if you need a national emergency, in other words, the seagulls are coming or whatever, is you can get they can get hold of every last one of us. It sounds a bit ominous to me, but anyway, they can, and so we have to worry about. Right. Okay. Once again, I'm doing my little bit about just searching for one or two things, and it's always a difficult thing when you're on your own. That's the that's the big problem. No, I shouldn't keep you like this, but who knows? It might just be worthwhile. No, it is not worthwhile, I'm afraid. So I'm going to have to read you the weather. It's going to be mildly wet, light rain, a moderate breeze, and I'm actually the temperature is going to hit 12 with a low of just 9. And right this very minute, it's 10 degrees centigrade and partly sunny. So there you are. That is what I can't find. I can remember. Okay. Then in that case, what I then am going to try and do, and once again, who knows, because it's now 53, we've got 7 minutes left before we take our break. And oh dear, we and this is rubbish, isn't it? I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry about this. It's the last time it's going to happen because I'm going to change the whole system, but it takes a bit of time to change that system, unfortunately. And changing things around, so it always sounds simple, and it never ever gets quite as simple as it should be. Right, okay. Here we're going to do this. Good morning, and this is a little rant because I wanted to sit next door to the fire, and it's rather a pleasant fire. It's nice to come into the White Hart Hotel, and this morning I was greeted by the lovely Shannon, who, to all the guests, not just me because I'm in every morning, but to all the guests, shows a lovely face and treats them kindly and with assistance and looking after them and making sure that they feel at home. Now, quite often you will see in various places, we do not permit you to abuse our staff, blah, de, blah, de, blah, right? I'm all for that. Of course, staff shouldn't be abused. And most certainly, I would actually come to the aid of anybody who abuses staff here, because they are lovely and they try their hardest to make sure the guests are looked after. But it is widespread that the abuse of staff in a good many areas, whether it be hospitals or shops or bus stations or whatever, is that the general public can be prone to abuse and not treating staff very nicely. I'm all for that. But what really gets my goat is that there is no sign saying we as a company or as an organization will not abuse our customers. No suggestion of that at all. And that bothers me, because I find that online, particularly the financial sector, but many people who deal online, many organizations can be quite abusive, can treat the customers quite badly. And there is nobody there to say, don't do that. That is no more acceptable to abuse your customers, to abuse people, than it is to say to customers, do not abuse our staff. These things go two ways. And too often, because we are in the computer age, the computer era, they have other words for it now, I know, but I have to call it that because that's the way I see it. Is too often is abuse of online communication. It is prevalent, and it has got to stop. I say it's the retail financial sector, because that's where I have most of my problems. But people do have problems in other areas, including the NHS. Now, of course, we mustn't abuse doctors or nurses or support staff, or even the people that actually take the appointments on the telephone. No, we must not do it verbally or physically. But they must not abuse us. And some of them forget that. And so if we're going to have a non-abuse environment, it's got to work both ways. It's got to work on behalf of the supplier, the service provider, but it's also got to apply to the customer. And we mustn't forget that. And too often it is forgotten. And people rush to pass legislation, to band together, to stop certain abuses, and ignore other parts where it is the customer, the client, the person, often isolated from any assistance whatsoever, who gets abused. I could carry on about how I think that the way that the financial sector uses interest rates is the threat of the implied threat straight away is your credit rating could be affected. Yes, that's your system, and that's okay if that's what you want to use, but don't ram it down our throats. That is abuse of the first order. Hey, listen, we don't trust you. We'll take you on, but your credit rating can be affected if you don't pay this and if you don't pay that. And quite often, followed by a whole bunch of legal mumbo jumbo, several pages of it, which nobody reads, and which you have to tick or sign at the end. But then that's another issue. So, sitting here in the White Hart of a morning, the fire behind me, Shannon getting my coffee and looking after me, is a prime way of saying to you, but also to any abusers on the right or the left, on the yin or on the yang, is stop it. It's not just abuse of people in the workplace. It's abuse of people who come in to do an honest bit of trading, whether it's buying a stamp or whether it's buying a car. Just remember, it goes two ways. So stop the abuse. Yes, stop the abuse. But also make sure that it is abuse here and abuse there. Otherwise, what will happen is somebody like me will find a niche on television and we'll actually abuse you. What a way to end the day. Toodaloo. Well, there you are. It's exactly 9 o'clock. Well, it's just tipped over to 9:01. So we'll see you in half an hour. Until then, toodle toodle pip.